Wait, did Trump just cut PrEP funding for queer and trans people? And if you're an American on PrEP, is your prescription at risk? Yes, technically the first part, and no, or at least not right now, to the second part. Let me explain. So, all of this news and confusion about what's going on with PrEP access, and by PrEP I of course mean pre exposure prophylaxis taken by at risk individuals to prevent HIV infection, actually has to do with the United States international aid programs. Because, yes, in addition to crushing queer and trans rights at home, the Trump administration is also looking to do the same abroad. Back in January, US President Donald Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio ordered a 90-day freeze on foreign aid. And that included the President's Emergency Plan on AIDS Relief, or PEPFAR, which is a program that provides HIV testing and medication around the world. As of September 2024, PEPFAR supported life-saving antiretroviral therapy for 20.6 million people, including 566,000 children living with HIV. So yeah, in January, they cut funding to PEPFAR alongside a bunch of other foreign aid programs. Then Rubio came back not long after and clarified that PEPFAR can continue to do HIV testing and distribute its life-saving medications around the world, just not to gay people or trans people, or specifically in the words of a February 6 document from the State Department, U.S. foreign aid-funded PrEP should only be provided to, quote, pregnant and breastfeeding women, and anyone else who may be at high risk of HIV infection, men who have sex with men, trans folks, sex workers, a bunch of people, or who were previously provided PEPFAR-funded PrEP, are no longer eligible. And in case you were wondering if LGBTQ folks accidentally got caught in the crossfire here, unfortunately, like all of the rest of the horrors of the past month, it seems pretty intentional. A document from Rubio about the foreign aid freeze specifically stated that anything having to do with, quote, gender or DEI ideology programs and transgender surgeries, so queer and trans people in general, should not receive any US foreign aid during the freeze. And the effects of this funding cut have already been devastating. The Joint United Nations Program on HIV/AIDS estimates that there have been thousands of new HIV infections that wouldn't have occurred otherwise in just the first 2 weeks since the funding freeze. Clinics have been shut down, and hundreds of healthcare workers were laid off at one Kenya-based program alone. So, to loop back to the start, is your PrEP prescription in the US at risk? Not right now, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't care. The fight against HIV/AIDS is a global one. As we saw with the COVID-19 pandemic, infections don't really respect borders, and we've seen notable progress over the past few years in fighting the AIDS epidemic thanks to programs like PEPFAR. Cutting that funding will come back to hurt everyone, not just people with HIV internationally.